Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Saturday night, Dan Lanning continuing to dominate the transfer portal, going out and landing one of the top cornerbacks in the country heading into 2024, former Washington cornerback Jabbar Muhammad. I'm sure many Oregon fans very familiar with Jabbar Muhammad and Dill. The thing that stands out to me is he's really taking on that Kirby Smart approach where the depth and talent in a specific position room is never enough. And you look at what made Georgia so great for so many years is the competitive competition. I mean, you have to truly be great to play for that Georgia defense. It's a very similar vibe for this Oregon Ducks team heading into that 2024 year. Enough is never enough for Dan Lanning, and he goes out and grabs one of the more coveted prospects that we saw in the transfer portal all cycle in Jabbar Muhammad. Want to talk about Jabbar Muhammad, what he brings to the Oregon Ducks, and more importantly, Dill, we talk about how this secondary is going to shake out for the Oregon Ducks. Before we get into it, just want to say thank you to you guys and a true shout out to the Oregon Duck fans. I mean, a program that we've talked so much about over the last couple of weeks, and the amount of support you guys have shown, all the Go Ducks in the comment section, that stuff means the world to the boys. Cannot thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And Dill, I know Jabbar Muhammad, you've been banging the table for him for about 12 months now. I'll let you have the T-box here. Jabbar Muhammad heading to the Oregon Ducks. How are we feeling?
Yeah, because, I mean, you kind of hear the quotes from Nick Saban. They don't make them like they used to. I mean, they don't make corners who like to follow guys around, like to lock that number one up and just take them side to side wherever they go. He goes in that, I mean, that hyper-competitive nature that he's got, it's so unique. He's so good. I mean, again, like Oregon fans know. I mean, Franklin got some things on Muhammad, but for the most part, I thought he did a good job on Franklin last year. And a guy you look, he's as good as it gets in the secondary or at that corner spot next year.
You take a look at his numbers and what he did for Washington. We continue to say this all year. You talk about impact transfers that we saw last year. I mean, Jabbar Muhammad was at the top of the list, faced 82 targets last year. And like you mentioned, he's a guy that follows the one. Like, he's going and lining up right over Troy Franklin. He allowed 42 completions, had 12 pass breakups, 3 interceptions, 19 forced incompletions. Again, those numbers for following that wide receiver one like Jabbar Muhammad does. I mean, truly some special numbers. And what gets even more exciting is you start taking a look at this Oregon class, the secondary, heading into 2024, Dill, it's absolutely loaded. You talk about competitive competition. This might be the most competitive secondary room that we see heading into 2024.
And you got to absolutely grind it out to get. I mean, it's almost like I'm almost surprised he went there. And I'm not surprised because it doesn't like he's cut out like that. I mean, he is that type of guy. He's that, no doubt he's going to be the guy. But again, you kind of look, it's loaded. Jaleel Florence, I think, is great, obviously. You bring in a guy like Cam Alexander. I mean, that's a really tough room to crack, and guys are going to have to earn it.
What I see here, two things. Why is he going to the Oregon Ducks? And I remember about 2 weeks ago, we got on and talked about Brandon Johnson, a cornerback from Duke, committing to Oregon. I think a lot of Oregon fans were like, oh, that means we missed out on Jabbar Muhammad. I was sitting there like, Jabbar Muhammad is not a guy that is going to shy away from competition. You talk about cornerbacks being wired the right way. Jabbar Muhammad's wired the right way. And so just because Brandon Johnson commits, he knows it's a loaded cornerback room, doesn't mean he's not coming to the Oregon Ducks. And secondly, I mean, truly buying in to the development. And you take a look at what makes Kirby Smart and Nick Saban like such special recruiters. I mean, it's the proof's in the pudding. You come and play for those coaches, you're going to the NFL. You like to take a look at, Christian Gonzalez or Kyrie Jackson coming to the Oregon Ducks and immediately making them NFL caliber talent. And Jabbar Muhammad's looking at that proof and saying, this is a place where not only are you going to go to the Big Ten and be what my mind is, the top dog in the Big Ten right now heading into 2024, you're going to get a chance to play for a national championship and also get developed into an NFL caliber cornerback.
I mean, that's honestly, as much as everyone likes to talk about whatever other reasons people want to go to Oregon, it's right now, this is a team that is primed to be very competitive at the highest levels. And I think there's something to, if you're that type of guy, if you are a Jabbar Muhammad type, it kind of feels a little different to be the guy to win the first one at Oregon in a really long time, if they've even ever won one, honestly. But like, that's the type of mentality he has. I think that's where Oregon's at. Dan Lanning very obviously can sell what Oregon's cooking, and it's attracting a hyper talented group. I know people like to talk about Ohio State and what they're doing, but you kind of look talent for talent. I mean, Oregon's done
again. Many of the listeners know we're Michigan fans, and I look at this Oregon team coming into the Big Ten, and yeah, Michigan will be solid. Ohio State's doing some really nice things in the portal. I don't know how many teams, and I'm really excited to kind of dig into all these rosters and start stacking these teams. But I'll tell you right now, from what Oregon was in 2023, what they get coming back in 2024, what they've added in the transfer portal, I mean, this is going to be one of the teams that, from a talent standpoint, is one of the best in the country, but more importantly, from a culture standpoint. Like, Dill, this is a team that a lot of kids want to play for. And again, highlighting like what this group in the secondary looks like. I mean, Jaleel Florence, when healthy, is a dog. Jabbar Muhammad comes in and is immediately, in my mind, your cornerback one. You have a guy like Dante Manning who showed really good things. You bring in Cam Alexander, who's a first-team all-conference guy at UTSA. And you have a guy like Brandon Johnson coming, who I think can play really, really well at that nickel. You bring in Kobe Savage to kind of replace that Evan Williams box safety. You look at this Oregon secondary heading into 2024. One, there's no holes. It's extremely deep. And they got a plethora of different bodies that are going to be competing for a starting role. This is a massive get for the Oregon Ducks. The boys are fired up. Again, a team that I think comes into the Big Ten immediately, is a contender. Oregon fans, can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the boys. Late Friday night, not going to miss an opportunity. Saturday night. Not get without college football going on. My days are just the weekends. You don't got it. Appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas again. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.